I have a lot of information for this. I've regrouped something like 33 images. They are mostly drawings or some maps and so on. So I think it will make a good general explanation of the events. I hope you have time.
Over time.
Because it's a lot.
So I was thinking of beginning by scaling the case. So when do you think we can say it starts, and when does it end, and the geographical scale of the cases?
So I have some date. We can say the really big wave started the 29 November 89. But they had already some case before that, but the big wave start at this point, and it ends we can say the 1st December 93.
93. Oh.
Yeah, usually
longer
people
than
say
I thought.
19. Yeah, usually we thought about 91 or 92, but in reality it's 93.
Cool.
And I will show you that in fact it didn't really stop.
Perfect.
We still have a case in 2011. So
looking forward to this.
Yeah. I'm looking how to share the picture. Share screen. Oh, okay, maybe I will do it like this. No. Tac. Oh, shit. Sorry, guys, it's my first time on StreamYard. So
we have all the time. Seriously, that's the purpose of that show. We can take the time it requires.
Nice. StreamYard.
While Julien's working there, Baptiste, how do you think? How do you feel about today's story in Politico regarding the tactics against Louis Elizondo?
It's so good. That Brian Bender, I think I will send him a French gift basket for all the work he's putting, because people don't realize, but Politico is a really big deal in the sense of platforming. It's really read by what we could call the elite and the deciders. So to have someone there that can do the work and do an investigative work on that, and in the political style with very strong words, that's so good to read.
That's it. You need to get these kind of stories out to the influencers and the people who can make decisions, don't you? And the people will read it and pass it on to other people in the same orbit. It's no good just having these stories amongst us UFO people.
Exactly.
Around the world. Much as we'd like to see this information, we can't really do that much with it. It does need to be in the hands and the people who can do something with it.
Exactly. I'm looking for the paper right now.
Baptiste, I think you see the second screen, or I need to do something to switch.
Oh,
you mean like that?
Okay, yeah, like that.
There we go.
So, maybe I should start by explaining a bit where the info came from and who did the research, because I'm just a guy who learned, from the research of others.
Go ahead. It's really important that we source the data we are using in that show, because it will be given to those that are never looked into the subject. So it has to be very reliable.
It's helpful for me as well.
The people who worked, they have made a tremendous work. It was crazy. So all of this was investigated by what's called the SOBEPS. In French, we call it the Société Belge d'études des phénomènes spatiaux. So in English, it's the Belgian Society for Study of Spatial Phenomena. It was a non-lucrative society. It was founded in 1971, and the SOBEPS have stopped its activity in 2007. And then it became the COBEPS. It's the Comité Belge d'études des phénomènes spatiaux. So it's the Belgian Community for Study of Spatial Phenomena. They stopped because they didn't have any fund and so few members, and they never had really a lot of fund, like from the government or anything. It was just the member that give the money. So it was free work for all the investigators. They were never paid. They mostly paid to do the research. So, and the SOBEPS had a lot of different kind of people. They had professor, teacher. They had people working in the media. They had people working in the economic life. They had really a range of different people. And just to give you some number about the Belgian Wave, the SOBEPS made 1,500 investigation reports, which were approximately 10 hour work per investigation, with the interview and the investigation on the field and so on. They had something like 4,000 or 5,000 testimony in 4 years, and they have accumulated like 20,000 pages of report. It's huge.
Yes.
All
It's
was
very impressive.
All was investigate free. They've put a lot of time and energy in it. It was crazy. They had also hundreds of audio tapes for the testimony. They had video. They have pictures. Unfortunately, none of the pictures or the video were really good, because you will see in the different case, and you see even now we can't film the UFO. There is something really strange about that.
In the last episode with Graeme, I showed him a template to index reliability of proofs, and photo and video evidence is the lowest level you can have, because it's not designed to do that, so you can't extract data from it.
And they do something with the light or some, I don't know. But anyway, the only photos that all the media knows, it's the picture of the triangle made at Petit Rochin. But you have to know that this picture is a fake. It's a hoax. The man who
he admitted it as a fake.
Yeah, he admitted in 2011. It was just a joke for him. So let's not talk about that anymore. The SOBEPS also made 2 books, which I have a bit of study to explain the case today. I can show you these books. It's a kind of really...
Okay.
There is one, and there is the other. You have something like...
rare.
Yeah, it's very rare. I did some research to find them. You have like 1,000 pages, just in that. And they already have slimmed the quantity of testimony and everything just to put it on these books. The first one, the blue one, was made in 91, and the second one in 94. So the first one was made in
It's
a
really,
hurry in the middle of the wave.
it's really important to emphasize that, because people don't realize that most scientific work is by essence boring. It's
Yeah.
reports upon reports upon reports. It's not fancy theory or mythologies or stories you can narrate. It's groundwork and scientific work. So that's why it's so rare to have that many people willing to do it for free.
Yeah,
But also,
it's amazing.
it also takes a long time for that work to be carried out, usually, because it's quite thorough. It's quite surprising that the first volume was released in 1991, as you say, in the middle of the wave.
Yeah, they've put a lot of work. They had some pressure from the media and people, just to give the facts straight, and
Yeah.
and the people wanted to know what's happening. But the story is not finished. The Cobebs is still working on the case. Maybe one day they will put another big report about everything. So yeah, the work never stop.
Were they,
Imagine
were they translated?
20,000 page.
Were they translated into English at all, or are they still only available
No,
in French?
it's all in French. I've talked with the people of the Cobebs, who are also all members from Sobebs, about maybe making digital copies of these books, because all this knowledge can be lost, but
Yes.
I have no definitive response about that. There are some things, I think they have some problem, like I can't show you. They had published map of the F-16 flight path with the big night of the F-16, but I can't show you them because they only had a special authorization from the defense to publish them in the book, and
Okay.
they can't give me the authorization to publish them, and so I could have make a letter to the man at the defense, but I didn't have the time, and I think they will have to make another demand when they republish the book. So we will see the future. And so with all this number, so remember 1,500 case. Here on this map, you only see all the dots you see is a case studied, investigated, only from the 29 November 89 to the 12th March 91. And only the report that people have seen something at less than 300 meters.
So less than 1,000 feet, in other words.
So there were
Yeah.
much more than that. Just on this period. This is the first big period, of the wave.
Okay.
And here they made an histogram of all the report. So you can see the big wave. The map is something like here, this period. And as you see, we have a lot of smaller wave at the time. So that's why we say it's not the first September, because the first case I can present you was the 12th October. Voilà. That's the first case really linked to the Belgian wave.
That's a very interesting distribution. The spikes are huge.
Yeah, the spikes are huge. We have to note that I don't remember exactly if it's the first or the second spike, but they had a lot of call when people have seen the debris of a Russian rocket re-entry in the sky. Honestly, I don't remember which one. I think it's this one, but it's not sure. Really,
I
it's
had
not
the
sure.
same.
Maybe
I had
maybe
the
it's the
same
second
thing.
because in the March 91 there was a lot of things going on. So let's start with the different case. I have something like 30 case. So the first one, we are in Verviers. It's in the Liège province. It's near Liège on the east of the country. And for every testimony, they keep the anonymity. We say that for the anonymity for the testimony. So usually they have just a name or a letter. They have the real name, but for the public, you don't have to know. So we have the witness Paul C. He goes. It's the 29. It's the 12th. Sorry, it's the 12th October, 1989. I have problem with number in English. And it's the night. So as you can see, it's somewhere at 29 o'clock.
Quarter past 9 in the night.
Yeah, so it's the night, and Paul C. Goes for a stroll in the street, and he see a group of people next to a shop, and they are flashing lights, and this is the police and the firefighter. There was a fire in the shop nearby, and you have a lot of people next, just watching the scene. But he sees that the people look at the sky, and is intrigued, and he look at the sky also. But at this time, he see nothing in particular, and then he sees some people going away from the scene, still looking at the sky, group of people, and he's also intrigued, and he follow them. And there, at the end of the street, at something like 40-meter altitude, he see in the sky like a circle formed by 6 or 8 big ball of light. So this is the ball of light that you see. And all the ball of light traverse the street in complete silence. And he think, well, he feel that it must have something really big above this light, but he can't really see the mass of the things behind the light. And he's really baffled about that. And a bit further, there is a police officer that goes to a more open area to have a hope to better see the phenomenon, but he doesn't see anything. And then 3 weeks later, he's accosted by a young man. We call it Mr. S. And this man remembers seeing Paul C. In the night of the 12th October, and he asked him, "So, did you see the saucer?" And yeah, and in fact, this young man was about 60 meters behind the Mason Street, so the street where everybody have seen the light, and he was on a little ledge path, and he claimed to have seen a large object, which was a saucer-like, and this was the object emitting the light that he saw. We don't have more information about that, but here it is. The first.
So those lights on the bottom, are they emitting lights downwards? Is that what that drawing represents?
Yeah, I think the light were somewhere downward, but I don't think it was really beams. Maybe they made beams.
But
the other witness
anyway.
didn't see the beams, and when the police officer went to see the things, the lights have moved and disappeared. So.
But the lights, the positions of the lights, in other words, as a circle, that seems to be quite similar to the first witness's description, doesn't it? Without being able to see the rest of the object.
Really, that's why they have linked it. And anyway, he talks about the same night. So.
And so the first witness saw just the lights, The second witness saw the whole saucer with the lights.
Yeah, but he was on a different angle, so
Looking from a different location, yes.
yeah, from a different
Very
location,
interesting.
and
Very interesting.
maybe on the other side, and so
Well,
he sees on the sky this craft. We call it like that. But several or other people with the first witness see only the ball of light. I don't know how many people have contacted the suburbs at this time. So we have just two witness official for this. I think there is more than that, but
wow.
so here we are the 22 November 89, and we are near Tournai. It's on the other side of the country, on the west side of the country, and it's a dark and rainy night, and Mr. and Mrs. Jean-Marie D. They are at the exit of the town at 20 o'clock 15 minutes, and their attention is attracted by a strong light coming from the back of a bakery, and this bakery is in a group of dwelling, and the couple sees this light above a house about at 20 meters from them, and they stop their car, and they see a big object with three headlights arranged in a equilateral triangle, and the big building. So it's the first phase. The big building is really lighting up with the light, and so they stop the car, and the object start to move slowly, and it crosses the street. It goes on other building, and Mr. D goes out of his car, as you can see on the second image, and the wingspan of the object is something like 10 meters, and it's just, as you can see, above the house, so it's maybe at 5 meters from the ground, something maybe like that, and all you can hear is a little noise, like a subtle whistling. Nothing really mad about the noise, just little noise. And with the light, and you see the beams of light, and it's really bright. And then the object start to continue to move from west to east, and he fly really close to a field with just next to the houses, and at this time, Mr. D see some kind of dome under the craft, the object, and he see, as he call it, a white form moving in the dome, and at this time he beckon his arms just to say hey, and and suddenly all the lights stop and the craft disappeared.
When you say disappear, it actually just blinked out of reality, or did it move away?
I think it was, as it say, it's a dark and rainy night.
So the lights went off and he just lost sight of it, in other words.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have to. All the crafts usually are really dark. People have difficulties to see them without the light, and so we don't know if it disappears from reality. I think it's just one dark on the light, and the witness didn't see anymore.
But this one had a dome on it, and the dome was below because he was looking.
Yeah,
from
the
below.
dome was below.
Yeah.
There is as I understand the explication and the drawings, you can see the dome here, the little dot. I don't know if it's. I think it's underneath because he saw the dome and he waved at it, and then he waited some minutes, and to see the craft again or something, but nothing's happened anymore.
The object seems very thin.
Yeah, this object seems really thin. Maybe it's the reconstruction, but we will see after there is other craft of this type.
Ah, okay.
Really big, but really thin. Maybe not thin as a paper like this drawing, but really
Very
thin.
flat. Very flat.
Yeah, very flat. Here, yeah, a little strange. It's the 28th November, 89, and we are at Cheney. Yeah, 6 o'clock p.m. for the non-24 hours people. So we are at Cheney. It's near Liège, at the Liège province, and Miss Didi go to a cash machine at this time with her husband, and after she come back from Cheney and she goes to Les Bruyères, it's another little town of the region. They stop at a red light, and then she tell her husband, "Have you seen the plane?" And it flies really low. We can nearly see the people inside. So, yeah. And in fact, she see a cigar shaped with illuminated portal and a big light at the end of the object. So as you can see, she sees the cigar shape and there is a red light here. I don't know the color of the light here. And there is another big white or green, she don't really remember well, light not attached to the craft, you know. So, and we don't have the size or the altitude of or the distance, but yeah, she saw that at this time. And we have to know that 6 o'clock at this period of time in Belgium was really dark. So, this is one of the strange. I've put this one because if you remember some in the lore of UFO, it resembles really old drawing about cigar-shaped craft, like Nuremberg, or really old. As we will see in all the testimony, we have all the lore of the different craft of ufology, everything.
Yes, it was not just triangles. There was every.
No, it was the big media talk only about the triangles, but we have everything. And there is another thing you have to know. At this time, Belgium was really illuminated country. All the street, all the highway, everything was illuminated at night. We have light everywhere, and you could see the country from space. And
that's still true.
It's still true, but
perfectly Belgium from space. That's crazy.
Yeah, but now you have more light in other countries, other big cities, so you can still see nearly perfectly the Belgium, but at this time it was really marked. So we don't know. So yeah, it's the start of the big days of the 29 November. And this is just a map of a small region between Verviers and Eupen. It's the east side of the country. You can see here the border with Deutschland. This is really really small. I mean, like 20 kilometers, And as you can see, there is a lot of number. Each number is a case investigated. You can.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, and just this night.
Very concentrated.
And just this particular region, if you remember the first map, there were dots everywhere. And
That's crazy.
yeah,
So a lot of it's
so
forested area as well to the south and east of Eupen. It's quite
yeah,
that denotes a lot of trees. I can see the
yeah, there is a
Heptonville.
lot of trees.
Yeah,
I think you can say all the dots you can see, it's the forest.
yeah, okay.
Mhm.
We have a lake here. We have another one here near Open. And this is the German region of Belgium, German
Right.
speaking region.
We are still looking for German reports.
Yeah, thank you,
Very hard to come
Baptiste.
by.
Yeah,
Well, if you read the German, they say there was never anything flying above in their sky. And if you look at the first contact here and this trajectory, it came from Deutschland.
out of
Mhm.
Germany.
Mhm. They really
So
don't want to talk about it.
no,
Really,
no,
really
I
don't
don't.
want.
I don't. We won't. But so food for the thought.
Yes, yes.
So this is in the start of the day. Enfin, not the start, but we are at 3 o'clock. It's at Jalais, so it's nearby in the region of the old map. And which one?
So that time of year, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, how close to dark was it? Was it becoming dusk, or was it much
No,
sun, much light?
not yet. Not yet. It's the middle of the day. We still
Okay.
have light. We still have light at this time,
Yeah.
and it was a clear day. So with the other testimony, you learned that it was a sunny day with no clouds and something. And
The
here you
description is
have
very interesting. Dull gray
yeah
metallic color that seems to not reflect the sun's rays.
yeah that's why I talk about the sunny day. So here you have Mr. George L. He's a cattle feed wholesaler, and he makes his delivery round in the region of Jalais, and it's about 15 o'clock, and he's driving his truck, and he see a huge dark egg-shaped object, and this object was moving really slowly with the point going forward, and this is above the meadows, and it goes parallel to the road, but in the inverse trajectory of the truck, and you see no structure on it, and this object has a dull gray metallic color that seems to don't reflect the sun's ray, so like it absorb it, or I don't know, but it's a sunny day, and this object move slowly, something like 30 kilometers, and it's really close to the ground, like 150 meters above it, and you don't see any obvious propulsion system. At first, he thought it was some kind of hyperlight vehicle, or a balloon or something like that. But it's just this egg, and usually you have a structure or some kind of things that you can recognize if it's a balloon. And balloon don't go, on a straight line, staying at the same level on the ground. And he saw that it's flying so low, and he thought it was going to crash. And the investigation estimated the size of about 20 meter longs and 8 to 10 meter high.
Now that I'm thinking about it, if the craft is covered with a layer that don't reflect light properly, it could explain how strange it looks like on photographs, because it would appear disconnected of the background. It wouldn't react as a metallic object in the light.
Light
In
scattering.
fact, this color, or the matter of what is made, in fact, it seems to disturb when you took a picture of it, it seemed to disturb radar information
Radar, okay.
about it. Yeah, radar. So yeah, we could say it's really high tech, especially for this time, because we are only in 89. You know, it's not it's at this period is the beginning of the stealth bomber 117. All the media have talked a lot about it on this wave, saying, yeah, people see the craft, this stealth plane from America and so on.
But nothing they describe looks anything like an F-117. So
no, and as I know, this plane can't fly at 30 kilometers
no,
without making any noise. You know?
No, definitely not.
And so after that, the same days at 16 hour, it's a Jalais, also the same region. And here we have Miss F. She runs a little rural gîte at Jalais. And around 16, she goes pick up the laundry that is drying in her garden. And suddenly she's dazzled by a reflection in her glasses. And she look up in the sky and she see that the light comes from an object qui reflects the sun. And it shines like a mirror. So, and she see this object. So this one reflects the sun.
Quite the opposite.
The opposite. But it's high in the sky, and at first she thinks it's a plane, but the object is elongated, but it has no wing, and it makes no noise. This region, people see a lot of plane, a lot. And she's particularly intrigued by the fact that she see a little cloud alone in the sky, and she felt that this object came out of this cloud. And I repeat, this was a clear day with no cloud.
Just one cloud, and it's got this mesh structure on it, which is very intriguing.
And she see this mesh structure in the middle of this cigar-shaped craft. And at this time, the object. So when the object is shining, is about at 500 meters from the witness, and at something an altitude of 200 meters. And then this object slowly descends with an oblique trajectory, and the color become more and more darker. And the witness thinks that this object will crash, but it stops at a few tens of meters from the ground. And after that, this craft object goes to the wooded hill that is nearby. It skims the trees, so it goes really close by the trees in the direction northeast. And after it disappears after the crest of the hill, and the witness estimated the size like a bus. So we can say it's something between 10 and 20 meters long.
The relationship to the cloud is interesting because I was working on Native Americans cases, and there is a strong relationship between strange-looking clouds and the UFOs.
Yeah, we have. I don't have. I had to, just select a few cases, but there is several cases of people seeing a cloud or disturbs in the sky, like when you see the heat above the ground, or something really strange, and they see a kind of craft or windows illuminated, or there are several cases of this. So this one is funny. You have a little cloud and pop. Cigar shape.
The mesh.
And the mesh. Yeah, the mesh is weird. And it changed colors also. Not colors, but it didn't shine going close to the ground. So it can also explain maybe the other egg shape that wasn't shining at all. Maybe it's not. Normally, it's not the same craft because it's after the X shape. It's 1 hour after, but we will maybe never know.
And how far was it from the previous case?
So the previous one is aussi à Jalais, so it's 5 kilometers maximum.
Okay, so general area.
Yeah,
It
it's
must,
a
it must
small
have
country, so
struck
5,
the
maybe 10.
population. Two UFOs, 1 hour apart, completely different on the above the same city.
It's just the beginning.
Okay, Mr. Odeur, we are hearing you.
So here we are at Alou. So Limburg, Liège province. Donc it's also the same province, so it's not really far. Liège province is maybe 20, 30 kilometers wide. Maybe, less than 40 kilometers wide. So I don't remember exactly where it is, but it's near the map you saw. So it's really close. And now we are at 1645. And you have Mr. Léon F. He's a teacher. And he's with his wife. They drive to their home. And when they arrive a bit before the crossroad called Goron, so this Goron, they see a stationary object above the place called Alou. And this object is like a banana, and it emits a strong light. So they say, well, let's go to Alou. And when they came to this place, Alou, they arrive under the object, and this object was an altitude of 200-300 meters. And they see some structure on it. So do you see these lines? And it was dark gray in color, but with no metallic shine. It had 2 strong lights, as strong as a football stadium. People like to compare with what they know. And the front light is like a globe, and it's bigger than the other 2. And it's the front light that emits a beam of light, a white light, really strong, and this light goes to the ground.
Oh.
And
at 300 meters, the light
1,000 feet.
shine. Wow.
Yeah, and this
That's
and
a very, very strong light.
It's still on the days it's clear, and they see a beam. They see the beam of light, And in the center you have a little blinking orange light. So that's what you see here. And so the object is stationary, and at the moment the object starts to move slowly and silently. It moved to the east, and with the point, so the big light forward, and it goes at the speed of about 60 kilometers, and then it changed direction abruptly, and it goes to the southwest, and then it changed direction again. It goes north toward the witnesses, and after some time it stopped 2-3 minutes above the west side of the road where the witnesses are, and then after the object moved away quickly to the southwest, and the entire observation lasts for 15 minutes. So
did the spot where the light was shown investigated?
What you mean?
When the craft was stationary and beaming the light down, it must have shown on a specific spot on the ground.
I don't know. I don't know if in this case, if the witness have seen any particular, shape on the ground, or
Mm.
there were no distribution, at least on the ground.
There was
But
no sort of target there that that's why they were looking in a certain
no,
area.
it's just above a little town,
Okay.
And but we have other testimony that talks about this kind of beams, and sometimes the beams stops midway. So you can have, like Star Wars movie, you have a beam of light, but the light stop.
It's half solid light.
Yeah, half solid light. And another witness, I don't have the testimony here because I didn't have a good drawing, but she saw a kind of triangular craft with also a beam of light, and the light on the ground was making like a little 8 movement on the ground, and she see a pattern, So we don't know for sure here.
I'm wondering if we are looking at the finger or what is pointed. When we are looking for crafts, shouldn't we worried about where these crafts are instead of what the crafts are?
Honestly, I don't know, because you have a lot of craft. They seems to look in all the history of this wave. You have beams going on simple roads, on lakes, on town, on people, in the middle of nowhere. We don't have a lot of middle of nowhere in Belgium. We have little meadows, but you can go 5 minutes without going
it's
on
very
a house.
dense. It's a very dense
it's
country.
really dense.
For anyone who hasn't been there, it's the second most dense country in Europe.
Yeah, we have one of the most dense population per kilometer square in the world. You have town from 20 to 20,000 people. And you can always find a house. If you're lost, you never lost really long time.
So potentially lots of witnesses for every case, but not many that come forward.
Yeah, there are a lot of witnesses. They have 4,000 to 5,000 registered witnesses, but it's already a big number. But they say that it should be way much more than that. Yeah, and especially after the first big wave, a lot of people didn't testimony because they thought, they already know enough. They don't need my testimony, or I don't want to sound crazy.
And I think it's important to say that compared to other culture across Europe, Belgium one is very open-minded, and there are taboos, very violent
it's
taboos
true,
in
and
other
it's
countries.
not really true. I mean, there was a lot of people that made testimony, mainly because they called the gendarmerie, so it's the kind of military police, and then the gendarmerie say, go to suburbs. But
I mean, I'm talking with an Austrian member. You speak about UFOs there, you are crazy. It's just a disease to speak about UFOs there.
It depends on the context and the people, but at this time, when you speak about UFO and people lot at you for, you saw a little green man, and go crazy. That's one of the reasons they protected the name of the testimony for the books. There are also testimony that say, I need to be totally anonymous because I have a big job and I don't want people think I'm crazy, or
Yes, of course. But it's
usually
far worse in other countries. That's what I mean.
Usually the testimony already question themselves. They see something they can't understand, and they take some times before testimony, just to understand what they saw, and maybe if I drink too much, because we drink a lot in this country, and or am I going crazy or what? So after that, this is we call the start of the night. If you remember when I talked about the craft coming allegedly from Germany, When the first sight of this craft was made by a gendarme working at the border, and he saw three big lights of white light and a dark shape, and this craft was following the highway. We don't have much more detail, and I don't have a drawing from him. So here we arrive some kilometers away from that on the along the highway, and we have two gendarmes. Let's call them VM and N from the Brigade of Eupen, and they drive in their service van on the N68. So it's not the highway; it's a big road, an intermediary road, and it's about 1720. And the driver VM sees a very bright spot of light, but around them there is only meadows, and it's 5:20, so the sun is really getting low, and he wonder why the meadows is so brightly lit. And the other gendarme, he sit on the side of the light, so on the right side of the van, he open his windows and he see a big platform stationary in the sky. At this moment, they start to drive very slowly. They observe the phenomenon, and you have other cars that overtake them, and there was nothing, like it was normal. And this kind of thing happens a lot. And the bottom face has three huge lights keep pointing down, and there is also a red flashing light in the center, like it's the usual triangle. And they can see the beam of light, although the air is not humid. Because when you have like a discotheque or a lot of fog, or you can see the beam of light, but here the sky was clear, not humid, and to see the beams. And
that's a very good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah. After investigation, they have estimated the altitude of this object at 120 meters. So it's good spotlight. And this object is silent and obviously have a triangular shape. They estimate the dimension for 30 meters, so 30 meters from the base, 28 meters for the height, and 2 meter thickness.
Still quite thin then.
Yeah, like the other, it's really thin.
Imagine the weight of the thing. I mean, even it's light metal, 30 meters by 25 meters by 2.
Yeah, it's huge.
Imagine if it's a balloon, it must be a 200 meters balloon to carry that kind of weight.
Yeah,
and no rotors, no propulsion.
Nothing. No propulsion, no noise, just nothing. A floating triangle in the sky with big light.
Unbelievable.
And
not seen by the other cars, seen by the police.
Well, maybe they saw it, but they see the police stopping. They say, "Okay, the police is on the case."
Yeah.
But there weren't any reports from other people that saw the same thing.
At this night, and we will see several reports about it, and I will show you some, only some. So this triangle is floating in the air, stationary, and after some time it starts to move slowly, with the point on the front. So this side it goes to, from this side.
It was moving with the point forward.
Yeah, because
right.
Sometimes you have triangle moving with the base.
That's what I was going to say. David Marler, who's obviously the leading authority on black triangles, he says that they often move with the blunt end forward. They're more reported that way, which is very strange to our.
Not in Belgium.
Yeah, but to our mind, you would think that some aerodynamic form would fly with the point forward, wouldn't you?
Well,
Yeah,
yes and no. When you see a bullet, the pointy is in the front.
that's what I
So
mean. So the point ends always go front from an airplane. You would think that
yeah,
the pointed end is first, and yet for the triangles, he says that they're often reported with the blunt end forward. That's the direction of travel.
usually when you have, as I understood, usually, I don't think I have a good example of this kind of triangle. Maybe I forgot
Okay.
to put one of these.
It's maybe the
But
ones in the States. He often says that that's the way they see them flying is with the
yeah,
blunt end,
no,
end
not
forward.
always, not always from the state, but usually when they are the kind of moving on the other side, they have strong light on the side, on the front side. So I would
Okay.
say this side, they don't have
Yeah.
big strong light pointing down, but they have big strong light pointing forward this way.
Okay. Right.
That's what
That's
I saw in the
interesting.
drawing of the people.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyway, there is a lot of different craft, and usually you say people talking about, I don't know, the flying saucer, and they imagine like, yeah, there is, if we can call it a civilization, or I don't know, they have only one kind of craft, But if you look at just here on Earth, the human technology, we have a lot of different craft. Just the shape of the plane, they have a lot of different. So we can easily understand that there is difference in this vehicle, if we can call them
That's a
like
good
this.
question. Do you have a report where there is exactly the same shape but is seen?
Yeah,
Ah,
Okay.
I
And is
have
that
several.
is that multiple occasions? So say
Yeah,
10
yeah,
or 20 cases
yeah,
of
yeah.
all the same craft.
We will see a lot of same
Okay.
report. And well, you have also something really important is that usually when the people saw and make a report is just sometime after they have seen it, and as the human brain function, when you see something really strange that you don't understand, that you can't put in a case, just to understand it, it happens a lot that what you remember is not really what you saw. And we will have a case or you have different people seeing the same thing, but they don't draw exactly the same object. The object is really close, but it's not the same. So you always have to take a kind of, larger in the testimony. Because, for example, this one has a really pointy end. It's not always the case. So you have these two gendarmes. They saw this craft moving, and they see that he goes to this craft follow the road and he goes to Eupen. So at this time they call the dispatch and they ask if there is military maneuver with some kind of special tech or they don't know. And at this time it's exactly 1724. And they say, yeah, it goes to weapon, so we're gonna. No, it don't goes to weapon. It goes to the other direction of weapon. So they say we're gonna follow another road, a parallel road. We go fast, and we will intercept the object just to see it well. So they go really fast. They are.
let's just appreciate Belgian gendarmes that are in a van on a road, see a UFO, and think we are going to intercept it.
Yeah, yeah. They want to see it, And
That's so
so
cool. That's so cool.
they go on the road, all siren and light and so on. They are further, they stop, they're waiting for the object, but this object suddenly stopped. He turns around and he goes in the opposite direction. And then they're really baffled. And they see at this moment that the craft goes to open. And they say, okay, no problem. They take the car again, they drive to open, and at this when they arrive at Eupen, they see the craft over the city, and they go to their caserne, just to ask to the colleague who was on the radio about the military maneuver, because at first their colleague laughed, make a joke on them. It was saying, "Yeah, it's probably Saint Nicholas who will land," you know. So we were talking about joke. And they are gendarmes, so I don't know. But after some persuasion, they convince him, and he called the military, and the military said, "No, we don't make any special maneuver in the region." So they leave the caserne. They go in their van, and they see the UFO again. And now we will advance a bit of time, because we will come back at this 1730. So they see the UFO on the city, and the UFO leave the city, and it goes to the dam of the lake La Gillette. As you see on the map, there was a little dam nearby the city. So the craft go there, and they stop their van, their car, on a little hill, and they goes out of it, and the object is stopped on top of the lake. It's about at 4 kilometers from the gendarme, and at this distance they see only a ball of light. But this ball of light emits at this time repeatedly, but always simultaneously, two beams of red light in the opposite direction. So you have a ball of light, and they see two straight red line, and when the line stopped, they see a red ball of light at the end of this light. The light disappear. This ball of light stays some second, and then they go close to the white ball of light, and it does that several times for 7 minutes. And they say the beams could measure something like 1 kilometer. And then after some minutes, everything go dark, and they didn't see anymore.
So we have breaking news right there. We have Jeremy Corbell that just launched his new video. We are going to take a look at it, and I would like your expertise on it. It's a quite interesting footage. Where are you? You're there. Okay. So I think he will release a better suited footage later, because the picture is very tiny. That's all we have for now.
Maintain track as best you can. Track 781 just sped up to 46 knots, 50 knots, closing in. Oh, actually 38 knots. Oh, shit. Fast. That one's pretty much perfectly 000 relative, right? Yeah.
263 at 3 miles, 55 knots speed.
OD, if you can write a general lat long where we're at,
and
then the number of contacts you got, get the course and speed meters off them. You know what I mean? And relative position to us. Like bearings might be helpful too. Eyes up.
Eyes up.
Maintain track as best you can. Track 781 just sped up to 46 knots, 50 knots, closing in. Oh, actually 38 knots. Oh, shit. Fast.
That one's pretty much perfectly 000 relative, right?
Yeah.
263 at 3 miles, 55 knots speed.
OD, if you can write a general lat long where we're at, and then the number of contacts you got, get the course and speed meters off them. You know what I mean? And relative position to us. Like bearings might be helpful too. Eyes up.
Eyes up.
CSM2, maintain track as best you can.
Track 781 just sped up to 46 knots, 50 knots. Closing.
So I will read the text. Oh, maybe Graeme with your wonderful accent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will read this. So it says, the footage was filmed in the Combat Information Center of the USS Omaha on the 15th of July in 2019 in a warning area off San Diego. This radar data release shows 4 clips, multiple unknown targets. Some of the unknown targets drop off radar in this footage. At the height of the contacts, there were at least 14 unknowns observed at one time. The event series reached a crescendo with one of the unknown targets entering the water at 11 p.m. No wreckage found. None of the unidentified craft were recovered. This is a corroborative electro-optic data demonstrating a significant UFO event series where unknowns were swarming US Navy warships. This type of cross-platform information verification is both unique and rare in the pursuit of the UFO mystery. So, yes, we have radar
the
footage.
blip we see, it's the unknown object, if I understand.
Yes, and they're calling out speed and direction. Baptiste seems to have disappeared.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
we can hear you.
hear you.
Can't see you.
My camera just died.
Okay.
Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me.
So, yeah, so this is quite intriguing because this is the first time we've had this kind of footage in sort of, I suppose, apart from testimony. Unless I'm completely mistaken, we don't really see live kind of coverage, or, well, real-time coverage rather, from that's been recorded of this kind of incident.
It's really strange.
Very interesting.
And quite bold to see this kind of information because, you know, it's like a bit defense secret, all this information and what this radar can see and so on.
If you look, the image, it looks like the important things have been blurred out on the image.
Yeah, I think they must have, otherwise it will never be.
Yep, it's been
like
filmed with a
that.
mobile phone, and I think that's part of it now, that somehow they're able to record these on, well, presumably their own domestic, their own phones. Whether or not that's sanctioned or not, we don't know. But here's the transcript. This is quite interesting. So if you read through that, Baptiste, do you want me to read this, or do you want?
Yes, please.
Yes, okay. So we have it at 01 seconds. We have officer of the deck, if you can write a general lat long, that's a latitude, longitude of where we're at. 03 in a faint voice. We do have some X-band radar tracks. 05, yes sir. 06, and then the number of contacts you've got, get the course and speed meters off them. Copy. You know what I mean, in relative position to us, and bearings might be helpful too. So they're looking for the course, the speed, and the bearings. So basically to find their position, in which direction they're going, and how fast they're going. Eyes up, eyes down. CSM TAO, this is on the intercom, maintain track as best you can. In other words, they're trying to obviously keep tabs on them. They're trying to keep a hold of the targets with the radar. Track 781, that must be a designation for one of the particular objects. They'll assign a number to each of the objects that they're seeing on the radar. Just sped up to 46 knots, 50 knots, closing in. So it's accelerating and it's moving closer to the ship. And then 9 seconds later, 138 knots. Holy shit, they're going fast. Oh, it's turning around. So from 46 to 50 knots, it's then almost trebled in speed.
It's really fast.
Yes. 36 seconds into the video, that one's pretty much perfectly 0, 0, 0 relative, right? I'll have to accept. I'm trying to remember what that 0, 0, 0 means. I can't quite remember off the top of my head because I'm sort of trying to concentrate on reading this. 39 seconds, yeah. 40 seconds, There's a bearing at 263 at 3 miles, 55 knots speed. And then again, so that's the transcript of the encounter. Then you have the
relative is not on the front of the top of the ship or something like that.
Can I just have a go back up again, Baptiste, if you don't mind? I just want to see the context it's actually written in. I can't remember offhand what 000 means. I should know.
Or maybe he had stop from the old point.
Yeah, it's possible. I'll tell you what, I'll look it up because I can't remember off the top of my head. I should know that. I'm gonna get lambasted on social media now.
I'm trying to get the answer, but I think it's the first time I see an actual radar footage of a UFO.
Okay. There's all things coming up about drug running and all that, and I know it's not to do with that. I can't remember offhand what it means. Okay, so do you want me to go a bit further down there, Baptiste? Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not doing very well here. So we'll have the approximate sort of area, etc., and the times. So it's between 9 and 11 p.m. So in the evening on Monday, July 15th, 2019. That's Pacific time. And the details are there's a minimum or an estimated minimum of 14 targets. Each one is at the lowest estimate 6 foot in diameter, which is what, about 2 meters ish.
2 meters, yes.
Yeah. Varying speeds between 40 and 138 knots, which is 46 to 158 miles per hour, which is roughly 80
70,
something, 80,
70,
yeah, 75 maybe to quite a lot kilometers per hour.
220.
Yeah, 230 kilometers, we can say, something like that. Maybe
254 kilometers an hour. I've just worked it out. So that's quite quick. Flights lasting longer than an hour. They were self-illuminated. Now, there's been some discussions what the previous drop was about the word illuminated, because that doesn't mean lit up. It can also mean lit up by a radar, as in electronically. But this obviously must mean, in that particular concept, when it says self-illuminated, that must mean that they were lit up. I presume.
Yes, I think it's generating its own light.
That's what I get from that.
That's
so
what
there was a discussion from the last footage where the word was just illuminated, which can have different context. Neither origin nor launch or landing points were unable to be determined. Right, that's a nonsense. I know what he means there. So you can't find where what they were launched from, or where they landed afterwards, if they did land or if they were launched. And that would presuppose that it was some kind of drone that was launched nearby. Unknown vehicles picked up on more than 2 types of radar. So they're looking obviously on this system, and they must have another system somehow that they're picking it up on. Unless that's 2 different ships, or whether it's 2 different types of radar on the same vessel, it's not clear from that. Still images of this footage were included in the May 1st, 2020 UAP task force intelligence briefing that he was previously reporting on. So this is another part of that briefing that the images apparently came from. It's noted in intelligence reports that the spherical craft appeared to be transmedium capable, so the ones that go in the water, and were observed descending into the water without destruction. So they didn't break up or didn't explode or whatever. It is noted in intelligence reports that the spherical craft could not be found upon entry to the water, that a submarine was used in the search and recovered nothing. This footage is unclassified, and the craft remain unidentified officially. So presumably, as we speak, people are contacting the Pentagon to ask Susan Goff's interpretation of what's going on. And there's a quote. Here's a quote from a crewman on the Omaha on LCS-12, which is the designation of the ship. The most impressive evidence we witnessed was their endurance. The event lasted over an hour, with all contacts just disappearing. We were never able to discern where they departed to. So it's all very intriguing.
That's very interesting. I think it's still unconfirmed by the DoD.
At the moment, yeah. But they have subsequently confirmed the other footage, haven't they?
Yes,
That's been
that's
released.
true.
So
And we-
it sounds as though they'll do the same with this. I suspect at some future stage.
And we know that he has an entire file of 12 materials around the same batch, and it's the third one. So
there's more to come.
Oh yes, he has plenty.
When they have permission to release it, they must be cross-checking things before they release, I guess.
They have a lot, I think, because when you see a lot of story there, the military, they have a lot. Not really by, personal smartphone or video, but they have a lot of information.
Yeah. So what were your first sort of reaction to that then, Julien?
Well, my first reaction is I have already seen some UFO radar picture and video. Unfortunately, I don't have here because we had some on the night of the 16th. The military craft going to chase some unknown detection, and we have seen some of the footage of the radar on the mainstream media. And you can find them on the net, but it's really blurry because
is this from the Black Triangle from the F-16s?
Oh yeah, we have seen some onboard radar, and we have seen also some radar footage from the radar station on the ground.
I think I've seen the footage from the APG-66 radar set on board the F-16.
But the legend is not like everyone wants to see. In fact, you don't really see a UFO. I will come at this time because we have the timeline to get to there. But in fact, the suburbs really study a lot of data, and they can say, yeah, it's a UFO. Well, we can say here later, but when you have people seeing the craft and actually seeing the craft and radar, it's more than the F-16 had only radar lock on, but the pilot didn't see anything.
It's quite strange. Yeah, it's quite strange.
But again, Belgium is special because all the country is light up. When you're in the sky flying at 850 kilometers and you look down and you search for a ball of light, good luck.
It's strange because the radar systems on those F-16As that the Belgian Air Force had at the
I lost you. What?
No, I think we lost Rendall. Graeme?
Rendall. Graeme. Can you hear us? We can't hear you.
Yeah,
we lost him.
Yeah, I think we lost him.
We have a bit of footage coming from Mystery Wire. Mystery Wire. Okay, you should be able to.
Lat long where we're at. And then the number of contacts you got, get the course and speed meters off them. You know what I mean?
That's better.
Like bearings might be helpful too. Eyes up.
CFM2, maintain track as best you can.
Hello.
Okay, back.
Sorry, my internet just dropped there. Unfortunate time. I was about to say the F-16s that the Belgian Air Force had at the time, that they were fitted with a reasonably early radar system, weren't updated until the mid-1990s. So they were still flying around with an APG-66 set. And yet you said they would be able to pick up the target. Is that right?
They pick up some target, but as the study seems to show, they maybe have picked some temperature convection bubble, so like a little bubble of cold air, invisible. I think we have lost him again.
No. Ow! He will be pissed. He really doesn't like that.
Nobody like that.
Okay, it's worth. My friend Luis Jimenez has a wonderful saying about that. It's first world problems, and I completely agree
Back.
with him.
Yeah,
Yay!
I'm just keeping dropping out. I'm sorry. It's obviously they're
No
conspiring
problem.
against me.
No worries.
Yeah, you were sorry. You were saying about they were
I
picking
was
up some of the targets.
Yeah, but the target was just after study. Maybe it's not entirely a full conclusion, but it was maybe a temperature convention
Okay.
bubble.
Because I was about to say that if it was strange that if they were able to pick up the targets in those encounters, and yet the F-18s from the Nimitz encounter, which had a slightly better, well, it had a much more up-to-date
better.
radar, couldn't. Well, it was an APG-73 they were carrying. And actually, that would be upgraded a few years later, but they weren't able to pick up the Tic Tac with their onboard radars.
Well, they weren't chasing a Tic Tac.
No, that's right. So there again, it's a different.
But maybe
yeah.
we have a
This is
lot
the
of
thing, isn't
different kind of shape, but
yeah, it's interesting though, isn't it? That there's a possibility that an earlier generation aircraft could pick up some kind of target, and yet a later generation could
it's
pick
a
up something else.
possibility. But
Yeah.
when the study shows that the ground radar seems to have picked a lot of the radar operator called them Angel. It's
yes, radar angels. Yes, yeah,
and they had lowered the sensibility just to try to pick strange things.
Yeah,
and they have in the near position than the F-16 have had the same, and even if the Doppler radar have seen like big change in speed, etc., the physics can explain some of this behavior. The real strange fact this night is that the policemen that see the different light moving before calling the radar station, they saw that this light at one point stopped move, became more darker when the F-16 came by, and the radar of the F-16 can't pick stationary object flying at less than 100 kilometers. The radar says, okay, it's nothing. So
that's very interesting, because I looked for radar data from the Belgian Wave in the French Air Force, and the problem is our radars were too sophisticated. So anything that could look like a UFO would have been dismissed by the filters of the radar.
Yeah, they have two kind of filter. They have a ETM filter and they have what they call the Kalman filter. So the ETM just try to avoid anything like angel and static object and so on. And the Kalman filter try to predict the trajectory of an object. Usually it's made to chase a plane, so there is. And but if the object stopped abruptly, the radar can't. He say, okay, it's nothing. Otherwise, they will see all the cars in the street, on the highway, and they will see nothing. But we will come back at this way at this on this because they made a lot of.
That's very interesting that we were talking about radar data, and it's a radar data footage that we have from Corbel.
Yes, very
well.
Synchronicity.
You talk about Corbel, and as he showed us some pyramid shape, and maybe a surprise for you, maybe two.
Okay. Very good.
We have 1 hour left on the stream.
Oh, I think we will need to make another one.
Okay,
that's probably a good idea. That's
because
a really good idea.
I'm just on the case. Where are we? Case. Case 9. I have 32.
3 programs.
We are thorough. That's the principle of this channel. We are thorough.
And when you think about it, it's 32 on 1,500.
Okay,
Exactly. We must respect the work that has been done.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, and I try to, because these men have put a lot of work with all the art they can put on it, and it's hard to, to try to explain the things like the best we can do, and without having, lived the moment, because I was young at this time.
Mm.
And yeah, it's
Um,
it's amazing.
I can go political right now because the YouTubers have been struck yesterday by a remark from the president of the ICER saying that truth were not to be found on YouTube. But where else except on YouTube can you find 5 hours live stream on a single case? You can find it on TV, you can find it on DVD.
You can't find it. It's impossible to find this kind of information on mainstream. Impossible. But yeah, YouTube, of course, you have it's not the real truth. No, also, anyway, it's always you have, even if you don't try to make a show or be sensational or someone, you always choose the information you say. That's why I was talking with the Cobebs member for this interview, and at first they weren't really they didn't really enjoy the idea, because they are really serious and scientific, and as all scientific guys, they want to make a show about the information. They want to show the information for what it is and speak for what it is, especially if they work again on the case, well, not again, but still on the case. And so I need to be careful to try to respect the information I had. And it's only a little part of the story. That's all.
A small fraction of the entire
yeah, a small
story.
fraction of
True.
it. A small fraction.
Yeah, Baptiste, you need to ask Julien to come back for another 2 episodes, I think, to do it justice.
He's at home. He's at home. I don't care if it takes us a whole month. I really don't care.
Yeah, I can.
One of the
big
events.
work. The big work is made. The case I have the image and so on. If I came back after, I can maybe add more, because I had to choose. In those books, there is hundreds of cases, and I've just picked 13. And I was sure it was already too long.
The fact that it's written in French and it's not well known, it's known. Most ufologists can say a case or two about Belgian Wave, that the scale of the wave, it's major. It's a planetary event, and it has been dismissed because, to be frank, most resources are in French, and not everyone speaks French.
Yeah,
so I think
just that.
Very true.
Just that, and we are a little country, and it really baffles me when I see, the case, and you have one case of one people seeing a craft and so on, and you have people talking for hours just for one case that was really not really investigated, except from let's call it amateur ufologists that look at the newspaper and so on, and here we have thousands of cases investigated by really professional investigator, even if they are unpaid, so it's free professional, but at this level they are not amateur anymore.
Anyone who has talked with them knows the level they are on. You can't find better on Earth.
I think, honestly, I think you can't find any better. And they've worked with the military to have. We were talking about the radar. Just to inform you, the physicist. So it was a physicist teacher in the UCL, the University of Louvain, Catholic University of Louvain. So it's someone really serious. He had access to all the radar information from the ground station. he just filmed it on with a little camera. He had 180 hours of film on cassette and in tapes, and he put everything on his television, and he was with a paper drawing all the dots and all the things. He had access to he worked with the military expert from the radar. They studied all the data. They made cross information between the civil radar, the Laglons, the military radar, and the onboard radar. And just in the books, you have something like 300 pages of analysis, and you can think he made at least 2,000 pages of analysis. It was, yeah.
Now,
It was,
these guys
you know,
are
it's a
hardcore.
physician teacher university, so you know serious guy. He worked with when he worked with the military. The military was impressed by this group of people, and that's why they helped them on some operation they made some night to chase the UFO and so on. So yeah. Serious guys. So maybe I have time to put one or two or three maybe other cases.
Don't rush. Honestly, we will make other shows.
Yeah, but
so don't worry
maybe
about it.
maybe I have time to speak about some of them. So we are on we left the gendarme with this triangle. So we were at 1720, and now we are at Eupen itself at 1730. And there you have Mr. D. He's a guard in a private company at the entry of Eupen, and he's at the upper floor of the building, and he sees through the window a very bright light. And after some instant, this light gets closer to the building. He opens the window to check if he hears the noise of a chopper or, but he hears nothing. And while the object gets closer, you see the bottom face of it, and it's a plane. Donc the bottom is plane, flat. It's triangular. It has three big strong lights on the corner, like you see on the drawing. And there is a little flashing red light in the middle. And in this case, the front corner is rounded. So we don't know if it's the same craft than the gendarme, where was a pointy corner, but this one is rounded. And the speed of the object is somewhere like 60, 70 kilometers, and the altitude must be somewhere 200 meters. And we don't know really the size of the object, but the object says it's something really massive and powerful.
Okay.
That's the impression he has.
And we are looking at a picture. Honestly, I would see that in the street. I would shit myself.
I think too.
No, but look at the thing. You see that appear in front of you.
Yeah,
How
it's
do you react?
amazing.
Run the other direction, yeah.
It's amazing. And after this craft goes above the building, Mr. D run on the other side of the building, and he sees it while when you arrive on the other side of the building, you see that this object had made a right turn, and it descended in altitude at the height of his eyes. So it was no longer at 200 meters high; it was really at the level of the building.
Wow.
And after that, it disappeared behind the other buildings. At the same time, still at Eupen, also 1730, So it's surely normally some minutes after the other. We don't know if it's the same craft or another. Upon it's a city, but it's not, it's not a big city. But anyway, so we have Mr. and Mrs. A. They come out from a shop, and they see a very big flying object with very strong light. It's probably the same craft, but we don't know. And they say it from some meter above the grid antenna of the caserne of police. So, and it was something like 50 meters high, something like that, maybe. And they see that it make a turn at the hospital of Eupen. And this object has a triangular shape, also with a rounded corner. So, like the other one, the front is rounded. And at this time, they clearly see the outline, the edge of the craft. I think the draw should normally, stop here. This is the draw from the witnesses. And there is a big difference between the other two. Here you have 3 little light, and not in the corner, but as you can see on the reverse part of the corner. Maybe the object changed light, or maybe the witnesses remember badly. We will never know.
I'm just thinking that there are some common sightings of shapes, but it's like they are built one by one, not in an industrial process of everything in the same model. Even if you have different models, you can recognize each models in several numbers, but each one seems to have specific details that
but it's the same. It's the same with our planes. We have the same, even if they are made industrially. You can have little change from the version A, the version B of the same craft, even in the military. You have different version of the F-16, for example, or the other craft. So maybe it's a different version, maybe it's the same, but people don't remember exactly the same details. You can't forget this.
Here's another theory for you. How about this? What happens if they're alive? What happens if there's some kind of life form? Because life forms are different as well, aren't they? You have like humans, they're all different shapes and sizes. They come in roughly the same dimensions and the same layout, but they have unique little differences. So what happens if these are organic in some way?
You have also this possibility that there are some kind of biological or mechanical life form.
Who knows?
Who knows? Really, who knows? Or simply, maybe they have just switched the light.
Yeah, or maybe there's a bank of lights where only some come on at different times, and maybe there were other lights, but they just weren't
different
illuminated.
Function.
That's
maybe
right.
Different function, or and so they see the 3 white light that makes the front one makes 2 beams. So they see the beams of light, and there is a third one, but they don't really see the beams on the back of the third one. And there is a little flashing orange light in the middle. And then the object tilt when it turned, and that's how they see the top of it, and they see this kind of dome. And after the object disappear behind the buildings. And what I found really interesting in this one, if you look at the right drawing, you really see one of the typical flying saucer. And if you imagine that this form is in fact a triangle and not a rounded shape, and when you look at different geometrical shape on different angle, you won't always see the same thing. You can see when it's flat, like the round, it could be round, it could be square, it could be a triangle. You will never know. sometimes people describe a cigar shape, and in fact, it's not maybe a cigar, but it's a rectangle. But they see only a side of it, or
That's a very good point.
yeah, they had the chance to see it because it banged when it turned, so they had another point of view. Always the same night, the same times. Here we are, Herstal. Herstal is near the Fabrique Nationale of Gun in Belgium. I don't think it's related, but it's in the same. It's also a Liège province, so it's not really far from Verviers. And this one is different, as you can see already. And here we have Mr. Maurice F. He's a metal worker cutter. He have his wife and his 3 sons. They are in their car and they are stopped at a red light. And their attention is attracted by a group of pulsating light coming from the left. Mr. F goes out of the car and he understands that the lights come from a huge object, triangular shape, isocell, triangular shape. And this object approach slowly, like 30 kilometers, at about 20 meters altitude. So it's really low. And the object is a dual metallic gray color, and he estimates the wingspan between 50 to 70 meters. And I think it talks about the length of the craft, not the base, but the length. Anyway, it's huge. And at the front there is a large illuminated window, 3 meter high for 6 meter wide, and the bottom face has 3 pulsating light at each corner, and there is a fixed orange light in the center. And at the back, Mr. F sees some kind of nozzle emitting an orange-red luminosity. And this object goes to the river La Meuse by following a straight trajectory from the northwest to southeast, and then it disappeared behind some houses. So you have seen all the different sides of the craft. So we have all this nice drawing, and when you look at the side and the front and so on, you can easily understand that you can see the side only and never imagine the proper form, the proper shape of the object.
Especially an object that huge.
That huge. Imagine seeing 50 or 70 meters long.
It's a building.
At 28, it's just upstairs your building, and
yeah,
it's huge.
That must be really frightening.
I still have 3 more testimony for this great night. There was 100.
Was there ground effects that has been noticed? Because if it
not on this one.
Okay.
No ground effect, no special noise. Anyway, I think there is, on what I've read, there was 2 ground effect, maybe because someone maybe at one time thought that one craft landed. I don't have the drawing, so I didn't put the case here. But when the investigator came, there was nothing to see, really nothing. Some people have been illuminated by those beams. They generally felt nothing except one case. Usually, even people are really afraid, or they feel really calm. Some of them even wave, or another case I will show you after, on the other day. You wanted to say, "Yay, take me with you," so.
It's because if we are looking for prosaic explanation, you have something of 70 meters long hovering above the ground, if it had any kind of conventional propulsion,
You're dead. You're just
the
dead.
ground is broken.
Yeah, if it use our traditional propulsion, you're just dead. I don't see anything. And imagine you're on your car with your wife, with your son. You see this huge object. Man, I will freak out. I think. I don't know, because usually people say, "Yeah, I will do that. I will do that." But when you see the
Yeah.
testimony, you can't say what will be your reaction. You can't say. This one is at Balen, also Liège province. It's somewhere nearby. And it's 1845, and Mr. L goes to his garden to take some firewood, and he sees a big ball of light coming slowly from the southwest, and he starts to see three distinct lights that seems to be put on a triangular plate. And the object approached at some 200 meters from the witness, and then it rotates on this longitudinal axis, so on itself, and it goes northwest. And the witness sees a isocell triangle with light on each corner, and he sees a dome on the rear, the middle rear of the object, and there is some kind of red light at the top of this dome. So it's underneath the craft. So it's the top bottom, I would say. And the length of the base of this triangle is estimated at 10 meters, and the object makes a little noise like a sewing machine. So is it the same than the other one? Is it another model? Because the other one before was also an isocell triangle, but the witness didn't saw this dome under it. There is multiple witness talking about a dome with red light under the craft, and sometimes you have just one light. Sometimes you can have a full of little light, and this light seems to be unattached to the craft, like the pilot fish on a shark, or little drones maybe, or you don't know.
So far, you've mentioned only symmetrical shape. Were there asymmetrical crafts?
Yeah, maybe, but I didn't put it on these cases. There was a drawing. There are several drawings I don't really understand. Really strange, and I don't know if there is asymmetrical shape, really. Maybe I have one? Maybe. I don't remember, honestly. There is a lot of shape. Here we have another, this night was a lot of triangle. So we started with some saga and egg shape, and now we have some triangle. And so we are at Herve, also in the surrounding, also Liège province. It's 1850, and Mr. S and his friend P are driving on the highway, and the driver sees three strong lights pointing down above the highway. And remember, in Belgium, the highway are really strongly lit. Usually when you're on the highway, you can't see the sky just because of the light.
That's true.
So if he sees light, they are really strong. And approaching these lights, they see a dark triangular object flying at an altitude of 100 meters, and his speed is really slow but constant. And they start to drive more slowly, but they can't stop because they're on the highway. And Mr. P observes from outside of the window, so he passes his head, and the object followed the highway on the other direction of the witness, so he goes towards them. And at some point, they are just below the object, and this is huge. Its wingspan is about 30 meters. they describe it like a Boeing 727, and it has a
That's
triangular shape. Yeah, that's huge. No, it's triangular shape, so about 30 meter. It has three bright lights at each corner. Enfin, each corner has a bright light, I mean. But at this time, they didn't see any middle light or anything else. And the three beam of light are directed downward, but a little forward of the craft.
Mhm.
And but the bright light didn't dazzle them, and they could see the dark mass of the craft.
Okay.
And they didn't hear any noise. But again, they're on the highway. But even on the highway, if you have a plane coming at 100 meters above you, you will hear it. That's for sure.
And there is a very common theory that all these crafts were prototypes of fighters or
Yeah,
bombers. But when you know just a little bit of aeronautics, that's just
how
not
do you make this
possible.
fly?
A plane
How can
can't
you make
act like that.
Honestly, I didn't know. But all the medias, especially for this kind of little triangle, symmetrical, really perfect, they talked a lot about the 117, and even sometimes the B2, but mostly the 100. But how can this fly at 30 kilometers without
Exactly.
making any noise?
Yeah, even those two aircraft don't do these kind of flight
No,
profiles.
and
We would have seen these by now if there'd been some
we
kind of
will have
secret
seen
tech.
it, and also this kind of stealth craft are made to go quickly because
Mm.
they are stealth on the radar, but you can see them. So why would you make a stealth radar craft and fly at 30 kilometers so everyone can see you?
Yeah,
I mean,
very true. Why would you fly over such a built-up area as Belgium?
yeah,
Because you're
well,
crying out for it to be seen.
a lot of people think they want it to be seen, or maybe I will go there. So it's really, really hypothetical. But if you imagine they come from space and they see this little dot of light in the middle of nowhere in Europe, and maybe they were curious, what the fuck? Why why there is so much light there? They must be really advanced. And now they came in Belgium with, Belgium. So we have only little meadows and towns and so on,
And in the context in 1990, it's still the end of the Cold War. I mean,
It's just the end. It's
Yeah.
really just
The
the end.
Soviet
The
Union is still in
29
existence.
November is just the fall of the wall of
Yeah.
Berlin.
Well,
if it's
Yeah.
Russian, you are sending crafts above Allied base of the Western Union. It's a
No,
declaration
it's
of
crazy.
war.
It's
If
crazy.
the American, you never do exercise above
No,
anti-Allied.
the Russian will never do that. And even if it was the American with a special experimental craft, but they have several model of them, they will never fly them above a country like Belgium. We have too many peoples per kilometer square, If there is a problem, man, you will crash on people and you will crash on allies from OTAN. You can't do that.
That's very true.
It's not possible.
there's better places to test secret aircraft than over the middle of
Yeah,
Belgium.
when the US, they have a lot of desert, they have ocean, they have a lot of place with nothing. Why would they come in Belgium?
Very true.
Honestly, it's not possible for me.
And at 100 feet of altitude.
Yeah.
That's just insane to test something.
And also, you can also say, if they had this kind of craft at this period, they will use them now.
Yes.
They will have used them.
You usually get a 20 to 30 year period before these things are released. So stealth was around about 10 to 20 years beforehand.
We still fly
and then
the
you saw them.
F-16, the same. We still fly with them.
Yes,
we just
you do.
make
That's right.
an order to change them really recently, but they still fly the same.
Yeah,
and the F-117 was pretty bad as maneuvering. Most F-16 are reliable and maneuver very fast. The F-17 was a stealth bomber.
The wobbling goblin they used to call it.
Yeah, it's just a plane that flies straight and
Yeah.
fast,
Yes, exactly.
and not on allied countries.
Yeah.
And so, I think this is maybe the last for tonight. At least it's the last I have for the big night of the 29. So here we are at Lançin. It's also in the province of Liège. We are at 1710, and you have the S family. They drive on the Lançin exchanger, so it's the highway. And Miss S is next to his husband at the front of the car. The husband is a teacher, and there are kids at the back. And they see on the right an object which is even more bright than the road. Again, lot of light on the road in Belgium. As you can see, there is light every, I think it's 30 meters, 20 meters. You have big light. And especially at this, the newer light are less lighty, but the old one, there was sodium-based light. It was...
You don't
And
need
so-
headlights in Belgium.
No, we didn't. We didn't. A lot of people, it wasn't allowed, but some people forgot to use
It's not a metaphor. I mean, you really don't need headlights in Belgium. That's pretty crazy.
No, and now I divert, but there is a little problem now. They try to make some, I don't know, sparing of electricity, and sometimes they cut off the light on the highway. But we don't have, the special shiny painting on the highway because we don't need. Normally, it's really lighted, but when they shut the light, you see nothing. Well, anyway, so they're on the highway, and they see an object relatively flat, and this object approached slowly at low altitude. We don't know. See, yes, we know, and this object crossed their path nearly vertically, so it came toward them and it passed above them. And this one is a rectangle shape with a rounded corner, and there are yellowish white light at each corner. And the wife says, after the craft passed the car, that she thinks she saw some kind of dome on the top of it. That's why you have little dots here. We don't know if it's flat or dome we don't really know that. But after investigation and calculating about with the road lights, they estimated that the object was flying at 40 meters from the ground. So really low. And it was some 15 meters long. And it went to the southeast at something like 120 kilometers per hour. So there you have different, and there are a lot. If you want to see just the map of this day, and this is all in the region. Jalais here is the zone where when you saw the egg and the cigar shape. Eupen is here. The big triangle. So it went the first gendarme on the border see it. It came here. The two gendarmes that run after it. They saw it here at 2, and then it goes to 3. So they run to the tree, and then at this number, the craft goes on the other side. It goes to Eupen, and there you have several sighting different. We don't know if it's the same or different craft. I think I talk about Balen. It's nearby. Alou, the place where you have the banana-shaped triangle. It's somewhere here. So yeah, a lot of sighting. I have other cases, but I didn't talk about them.
And how did the population react to that many UFO sightings at the same time?
I remember when I'm born in 82, so I was 8, 7, 8 year old. I remember the media making a big, they talk about it. Honestly, there was. You have two kind of people. You have the generally kind that don't care. It's just little green man. It's folklore story. If you see, yeah, I've seen a UFO. Yeah, you are crazy, man. It's not possible. But personally, I didn't live in the region of Liège. I live in at this time. I will come back just to show you. So there is we are here from this night.
Mhm.
Herstal and so on is somewhere here. Personally, I lived here. It's not really far. For Belgium, it's far, but for the rest of the world, it's not. But we are, I don't know, 40 kilometers.
Oh, that's not far at all.
No,
40,
but
40
yeah.
kilometers.
Yeah, but for us, it's far,
I travel further than that to go to work.
Yeah, you have to put perspective,
Yep.
And so I think, honestly, all this region, people talked a lot because they've seen a lot of it. And it's quite fun, but if you want to know, we have several nuclear installation in Belgium. We have one here in this region.
Okay.
There was at least one report of an object scanning the nuclear station.
Oh.
We have another one on this this region, I think. I don't remember. And you are also, the Belgium is divided between the Walloon and the Flemish. So you have it's somewhere here, okay? The
north part.
Yeah, the north part is Dutch speaking.
Yeah.
And you have the French speaking, and here this zone is the German speaking region. And Brussels is French speaking, but in Dutch speaking territory. There is a lot of problem with that. But anyway, and as you know, we have different government, the French and the Dutch, and you have some sighting in the Dutch region. The suburbs was majoritarily French speaking, but they had some Dutch speaking people and some Flemish inside. They had also some Germanic investigator, German speaking investigator, I mean. And the politic, they were saying, yeah, so the Dutch one at one time said, yeah, it's not really our problem because it only concerns the Walloon.
Right.
Yeah.
That's strange.
Typical.
And yet, of course, according to the spread on that map there, where the dots were, it didn't seem that many dots were actually in the Walloon in that area. They were more across the middle of the country there, which that's the French part, isn't it? Between Liège and Tournai.
Here it's a French part, but so you have, I think you can nearly see the language border by the dots.
Yeah.
Just because the French speaking people report to suburbs.
And the Walloons don't.
And the Dutch speaking much less.
Okay.
So we can't really see. We have some, but we can't really see for sure. There is Dutch speaking UFO group. It's called UFO Meldpunt. But I think it was created somewhere about the same period as Cobweb, so 2007.
So they don't have the history of being able to pick up the sightings on the spot. Right.
No.
It's a shame.
Yeah. Yeah. Funny
But
story,
it's
when the
UFO.
F-16 went out, the Dutch political say, yeah, it's a well problem. I don't see why our Dutch citizen, Flemish citizen, must pay for a
Right.
Walloon problem. Typical.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Typical
So
for Belgium.
I took a look in the Japan archive, and here are the cases related to the time period. So it's only the highly strange cases. And so we have 3 cases there, 4 there, 1 there, 2 there. But they are very, very strange, each one. That is the main point of the Japan, is to filter out all the reports and only keep those that are very, very strange. So, and you can see them here.
I've seen a Belgian joke about the French UFO wave. So, yeah, the joke is the Belgian UFO wave was several years long, but the French one was 3 minutes long. Because there is one date, honestly, I don't remember exactly the date, but there was a lot of people calling, mostly in France, from the south to the north. They see strange light in the sky. It's really amazing. And in fact, it was the part of a rocket that re-entry on the sky and disintegrate in the sky. And you had a lot of people calling because you don't see that a lot. And this was apparently a little joke. On the other side, usually it's the French joking
No, that's
about the
true.
Belgium.
That's true. That's true. There was a lot of reports, but that's why I like the Japan, that they filter out everything that can
but
be
you have
almost explained. So,
you have to
that way.
filter. You have to filter. And now, when you see the system the cobwebs use, they use the 2 filter that we know, so the Japan filter, and they use also the INEC filter.
Mhm.
This way, but now they are really less people. At one time, I think the suburbs had 1,700 members, a lot, but it didn't stay. Really, it didn't stay. I think there were 50 maybe at this time, and now the cobwebs. They must be. I'm not sure, so I don't want to say something stupid, but I think there are something like 15 to 20 max.
And did the wave pushed some to enlist in the cobwebs?
I think what I have understood it. So the suburbs were created in 71. They had some sighting apparently. They made a lot of publication also every son and on of their report. But after some years, or I don't know, nothing really happened. There is a lot of people that say, yeah, well, I don't care, So they start to lose member. And yeah, when there was the wave, I think they had some interest from the people, but at this moment they had to be really careful to recruit new people, because if you want to investigate, you need to have proper investigator trained, used to go to the field and ask questions and so on. You can't use a witness; it's impossible. The witness will want to see, understand what he saw, and he's really based on his thinking about. So maybe they had, I don't know, but surely I guess they had some witness of UFO in the time, but not on the wave.
That's
Not when
interesting.
the wave was on.
From a UK perspective, this has been really interesting because although we know there was a lot of sightings in Belgium around that time, we just simply don't have that idea of the scale of it, and what you've just shown there is just the tip of the iceberg. It's just a very, very small fraction of the numbers involved.
Just look at this if you want to see
Yes. but also not just the numbers, but also the different shapes that were involved.
Yeah, we have,
you know,
and I just show you a little part.
exactly.
If you want, if you want, I can show you quickly. But you need to. We can remove it from the stream to keep the surprise for. Or if you want to
keep
keep
it of
the
a surprise. Keep it a
Okay.
surprise. Yeah,
Okay.
it's good. It's good to have a surprise for the next one.
Yeah. So you have seen a third of the
Okay.
case, and
Yeah.
and I would say not the third of the different shape, but there is also other kind of shape. But you know, the fun fact is, you know all this shape. You have already seen them.
Oh
in
yes,
other
that's
case
true.
in the
But
story.
It's not just that though. It's more to do with it's not just the variety of the shapes. It's also the actually the quality of the information. There's a lot of information to go with
Oh,
each
yeah.
case. It's not just I saw something fly past and I wasn't sure what it
No,
was.
and
There is a
and
lot of information in each
and
case there.
the information I give you is already a report that's been resumed in the book, and I have resumed it to explain it to you.
Yeah. So there's even more information. In other words.
Oh
for
yeah,
each
yeah.
case. That's just
the-
a précis of
the-
the case.
The last
Imagine-
case I will show you from 2011, they made a report of 70 pages.
Wow.
That's the Belgian
Comprehensive.
Not every report is as big as this one. You can be sure of that. But they said they work approximately 10 hours per report. So,
I love them.
and if you are a professional making report and you have a systemic way to do it, it's a lot.
I'm
And
already
just
looking-
imagine the impact of seeing a UFO for 15 minutes.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can't dismiss it for anything else. You had the time to see it, and
Imagine-
your mind try to
Imagine
in
not
detail
seeing
as well.
one. Imagine not seeing one. Imagine it's the night. You are, at home in your garden, and you see a ball of light, and this light comes, and you see a craft, an object, and then you see a second one, and then you see two craft coming, and there are reports like that, and this night, this guy with his family, they saw multiple wave of 1 to 3 craft. This seems like somewhere between 13 and 20 craft in 1 hour and a half.
It's a
Just
natural-
passing by. and usually the case here, it's really fun because the people are really close by. There are report of there is a woman. She's on the street driving. She see a light. She see a craft, a shape, an object with big light, and she stop her car, and the object start moving. She start the car. She advance. The object follows her. She turn off the light. The freaking object turn off the light. And then the object goes above laps up the light, and then she freak out and she accelerate, and the object leave. This kind of.
Julien, I want to thank you so much for that
Yes.
time. It was great. I loved it. We will do it again.
Thank you for the invitation.
You're
Will do,
hired,
yeah.
my
Thank you.
mate. And thank you for all your research. I know you spent a lot of time doing that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, I spend a lot of time, but really, it's for all this information. I'm just, a messenger. I didn't make really the research. I've just read some book and resume it. The real guys, the guys from the suburbs that makes all the research. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
Yes.
I'm just a messenger here. Well,
And
sometimes
we
to make
find
pop-up
them-
picture and so on, but I didn't make the drawings. I just, make it presentable. So yeah,
Yeah, but
it
you put it in a form that people like myself can understand, though, and people who speak English.
and
That's worthwhile. Thank you very much.
also, I think English. We need to. Well, we lost. It's not the French; it's the English. So,
Our
and also, I
accent
put the
will have
image in the
melted
format
the
I
brains.
like because usually when you see people extract image, you just see a drawing or a picture on someone, and you don't have any information.
Yeah.
And personally, I like when you have some information like the shape, the speed, the direction, or I don't know, so some kind of information. Also, there are drawings or where you have info in French, French annotation on it. So it's better for the international public to have it in English.
It's a shame that the UFO subject is so Anglo-centric in terms of language.
Oh man,
but,
yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, but this is a good
we
way
need
of making
we need to speak more about it in Europe. Because
definitely remove the stigma.
Because at the time when we had the Belgian wave, there are this kind of craft have been seen in the Netherlands. They have been seen in England. I'm sure they have been seen in France.
Yes.
The German will say they saw nothing, but
they close their eyes.
Yeah, they didn't want to see. They had already all the problems with the American and Russian flying over the territory.
Yeah. Crazy people.
So, sirs, goodbye. See you next week for
goodbye.
the following.
Thanks for the invitation. I come when you want.
Lovely.
We'll
see you again, Julien. Thank you very much for your time.
No problem. See you again, guys.
See you again. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Graeme, thank you for your analysis for Corbell's footage.
Oh, yeah. So just to follow up on the 000, just means it's ahead of the ship. It's ahead of the ship.
It's ahead of the ship. Yeah.
It's in front of
directly
the ship.
ahead of the ship.
It's the front. Okay. Nice to understand
those
that.
are directly in front of the destroyer. That's
right,
just wonderful.
Yeah. So there's a whole lot of analysis going on UFO Twitter at the moment. So yeah, so I'm sure the two of you will be able to catch up once we come off this.
Sure.
Okay. So see ya, guys.
Yeah. Bye.
Goodbye.
Yeah. Bye.